All right. Welcome to this episode of Warrior Week Parables from the Pit. I believe this is episode number 20. My guest with me is Jason Smit. Jason, welcome to the show.
Nice to be here.
Graduate of?
Warrior Week 39.
Warrior Week 39. And your son is coming to Warrior Week?
He is.
48.
48, yep.
Few months, a few weeks from now.
Yeah, beginning of May.
Beginning of May. Beautiful. Okay, sit down, relax, and enjoy this episode of Parables from the Pit with my guest, Jason Smit. All right, Jason. So, talk to me, man. When did you actually find out about Warrior, and what was it that was drawing you in, pulling you in? What conversation was it? What topic was it that truly kind of like put a hook on you and pulled you towards this?
It was, it was 10 months ago that I signed up for Warrior Book 700.
Okay.
But before that, about 6 months before, I was watching the videos, and I saw the boxing, the fighting.
Yeah.
And that scared the fuck out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got really scared about that. And so I applied to Warrior Week, and I got to the very end of the application, and I just stopped. I froze. I didn't go forward.
Okay.
So 6 months later, I was able to convince myself to join Warrior Book 700, make that investment because I was doing it for business, which was the lie I was telling at the time.
Okay. So you come into that online program that we had at that time, and what was your takeaway? You end up at Warrior Week. Like, what happened?
Well, that system really worked for me because I was scared. So I got 60 videos and about 4 or 5 webinars with you, which were really intense, and you had us, screaming. But there's like 60, 70 people on at the same time, so it was weird because it was safe for me. I was a pussy at the time. I was pretty afraid. And then I saw training. I joined the training when they started to do the 4 trainings a week. It was getting ridiculous, and I went into license. And you were talking, and you said, hey, if you're interested in going to Warrior Week, if you feel the voice, text me right now. And I don't know what insanity. I just did it. And I heard it.
Okay, so we're going to talk. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how the decision you made based on the voice that you've heard brought you exactly where you are right now, sitting here and sharing your story, right? Before we get to that, and before we get to this whole conversation of, hey, I'm going to listen to the voice. We're going to talk about a little bit about Jason, and we're going to talk about the voice in your life, but we're going to talk about the voice in a different way. We're going to talk about the voice when the voice actually whispered at you, hey, Jason, listen to me. Jason, listen to me. And you didn't listen. Then we're going to talk about the voice when the voice actually knocked at your door.
Yeah.
Anybody there? Jason, you there? Then you didn't listen. Then you're going to talk about the voice in your life when the voice took a baseball bat and beat you up right as you were getting in your car in your parking garage and bruised up, all beat up. You didn't listen. And then we're going to talk about the voice which pressed the fucking nuclear button and created a fucking massive interruption in your life. Everything had to fucking die to ashes in order for the fucking phoenix to be reborn from the ashes. That's where the voice got, like, this motherfucker is not listening. I whispered, he didn't listen. I knocked at the door, he didn't listen. I beat him up with a baseball bat, took him to the ER, fixed him up. He built a story that he's healing, he's good, it's only a few braces on his face. And now it's time for the fucking nuclear button. So you're going to talk to me about those 4 layers. Because that's what led you to Warrior Week, and then we're going to talk about what happened specifically at Warrior Week.
Yeah, when I was younger in my first marriage, I was in a pit that lasted for years, and it started with whispers. And it was one of those, Those pits where you just sedate as much as you can. You start to tell yourself, I'm willing to be happy no matter what. And, that pit, that pain, it was all for me. It was all to get me to rise for my children. But I got stuck in a picture of the way it had to be. And it got worse. It got worse. And one day I came home and there was a note on the counter and my wife had left. And she left me the kids. And that was the nuclear bomb. And so I came out and I stood on the porch. Mm-hmm. And I knew I could go get her and try to force this thing, but this was the weird part when I first listened to the voice. And it came softly after the nuclear bomb of her being gone. Mm-hmm. And it said, don't go get her. Don't go after her. And that broke my heart. But it was the start of me rebuilding my life.
So how old were you then?
2005. So that was 12 years ago. So I was 34, 35.
How old were the kids?
12, 10, and 6.
And how long you been married at that time?
13 years.
So 13 years you were married. You came home and you saw a note.
Yeah.
And the note said, I'm leaving.
I'm gone. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, thank God you can't thank God that he took care of me in this. He still watched out for me in the nuclear holocaust and was giving me guidance, and I was able to rise up. And it turned into the craziest blessing because I had to rise to raise my kids. I had to rise.
At first, when you saw the note, how did you take that?
I had my daughter in my hand. And I remember turning her away like she couldn't see it, but she was in kindergarten, so she couldn't have really known what it meant anyways. And I had to run outside and stand on the porch and just breathe. Because it was like it was nuclear, and it hit me with all the pain that you can feel, but I knew it was coming. You were talking about the steps up. The whispers were there a long time ago that I wasn't rising.
So rather than just fucking nuclear, let's just say what it was so that the audience is clear. What note that was? What kind of note was it?
It was goodbye.
What kind of goodbye?
Forever. Yeah. You.
She took her life?
Yeah.
So it was a suicide note. So this was not a, hey man, I'm going to leave you because, I'm not happy, or I'm going to leave somewhere else. You wish it was that at that time.
Yeah.
You wish that this was a fucking divorce. But it wasn't. So there is the nuclear bomb, which is the divorce and the separation of a man and a woman mm-hmm. and their kids. And then there is the fucking nuclear bomb that I can't even fucking imagine. I'm not even fucking qualified to open my goddamn fucking mouth to say that I can imagine like how you would feel like when that bomb is dropped. Like it sucks the life out of you.
Yeah, it's like a black hole in your heart.
It's not even a shocker. It is totally the fucking unknown. I guess that's what I'm asking you, because I don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah, you go numb. I mean, I was already numb. It took me 2 years.
Now forget numb, motherfucker. Like you better describe what that is, because I have no fucking idea, and the audience here have no idea. So like, this is a time and space for you to describe the fucking feeling, because there might be a few guys out there that felt that, but most of us that haven't felt it, Jason, that is a lesson to us. Is like, hey, you better fucking listen to the whispers. You better take that fucking beating in the parking lot with the baseball bat from the voice and say, okay, I got this. Or else, like, this could happen to you.
Yeah.
And so I want you to paint the pain around this that is so fucking descriptive that no one gets the right on this conversation and this podcast and the people that are viewing this, no one gets the permission to say, oh yeah, I understand that. That must be horrible. And then they simply forget about it. This is so painful that most people don't want to visualize this happening to them. And so they give you a quick sympathy of, yeah, that must be really painful. And off they go, doing the same fucking shit, which is not listening to the voice and ignoring the whispers and the knocks and the fucking beating and with the baseball bat. So do us all a favor, man. Like, describe the pain, because if we don't feel the pain, and I include myself in there because I wasn't in your shoes, and if you're someone that has not been there, that you've not lost your wife, like, you better listen to this motherfucker. Because if you don't listen to the pain, if you don't feel this pain, then it's just too goddamn fucking easy to bypass it and say, well, I guess it's a tragedy. It happened to that person.
It starts with complete blackness and emptiness, which is probably like a protection device for a little bit. So I had to gather my kids together. I gathered them together. And they opened my heart because I had to sit them down. And I told them their mother was gone, and they just felt it. All three little kids just burst into tears, and that was the fucking hardest moment of my life. They, fuck it. I can take pain, but you can't see your kids in pain like that. Mm-hmm. Like they don't have a fucking mother. To this day, they don't have a mother. And so it just, we puddled on the floor. We fell to the floor as a group, 4 of us, me and 3 kids, and it just went on and on. And thank God I had family there, and they surrounded us, and there was this circle of love in the midst of it. And it was a devastation, because afterwards you just don't know how to breathe. Like, you have to relearn how to fucking breathe. Because even breathing hurts. So you go into this very shallow, like that. And everyone's walking around with their shoulders hunched together. And every moment is like that. And you keep your eyes to the ground. But I couldn't keep my eyes away from my kids. I had to look them in the eyes.
Are you toggling between feeling a lot of pain and sadness and crying, and then switching to anger and blame and saying, why would you do that to the kids? And was this toggle between these feelings taking place?
No, I sedated for 2 years before I allowed myself to feel anger. Like, I was just, I pity partied and stayed there and thought that was noble. And I would protect her in the kids' eyes. And I actually hurt them in that. I've since allowed my anger to come up in a very healthy, graceful, forgiving way, and
yes.
It's healed them.
Yes, but so for 2 years you went in a just
black hole.
Grieving.
Yeah, of grieving, of
a long-term grieving.
Yeah, like a selfish grieving.
I can't even visualize myself on the floor with my son and my daughter, like, cuddling and crying because my wife is gone. Like, that's like, the crying never stops. Like, how could it stop, right? Mm-hmm. You cry, they cry, and you see them cry, so you cry more, and it's just like, it won't stop. It won't. And thank God people were around to come in and somehow interrupt the pattern, right? Of that, but that wouldn't stop. What would have happened if the kids were like 8 months, 12, and 2? Like, they couldn't really understand it. What do you think would happen to you? Because you couldn't really share it with them. You wouldn't see that pain. But what would you see in yourself? Like, could all the pain now be on you? Because in the midst of all this, what they did is that the pain was divided. Mm-hmm. And your kids carried a load. Mm-hmm. But if they were like 1 or 2 and they couldn't understand this, that means all the load would have been on you. Mm-hmm. What could have you done, and what would have Jason do then? Was there a possibility of just say, fuck it, I'm just going to leave everything and go? I'm like,
Yeah, you don't. I sat there. I have felt it a little because my daughter doesn't remember much, so I carried that load for her.
yeah.
But yeah, why not just leave? I think my mom would have killed me. I'm going to be honest. My mom would have fucking killed me, and I couldn't do that, and I couldn't do that to those
But the
kids.
option is that as a man,
Yeah.
the option comes into your mind. I mean, that's the stories of, you see a lot of homeless guys, and I've told the homeless guy a bunch of times.
Yeah.
You've heard that story.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the homeless people, it's not a matter of not having money that they find themselves in the street, but the environment that they're in, at their home and their house and their work, and that environment is so painful that they don't want to be there, so they rather live in the streets. I mean,
It's easier.
you could have actually gone and say fuck it, and you could have just lived under the bridge, with your family just being 3 streets away. You just cannot be there because it's just too painful.
Yeah.
So most men won't believe that this will happen to them. Like most men think that, oh, no matter what, I'll be around my kids, no matter what. But when the nuclear bombs is dropped, life is sucked out of you. Like you can't think the same way that you and I are like thinking right now. So 2 years almost paralyzed. And how long did it took for the kids to be okay with this? At least on the surface.
They recovered quicker.
Okay.
They were tough. Of course, there's long-term damages there. That
Tough or pure? Maybe they're more pure.
Yeah.
They can feel things and see things, and
Yeah.
we tend to look for logic, and we tend to look for reasons more than kids.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I'm not going to minimize the pain they went through, but they seemed to recover better. They had a more pureness about it. There was light with them. They were able to play with their friends. You know, with
Being kid.
Yeah, they could be kids again, and that was my gateway to them.
What happened to
kidness.
Jason for 2 years? Like, what was your daily routine for those 2 years?
Well, you stop eating. So I stopped eating, and so I'm not proud to say this, but within a couple months, I just started. So this is pretty fucked up. I started dating and just meeting a lot of girls.
Okay.
Like it was just fucked up. It was not right.
Okay.
And
It was what it was.
yeah, not proud of it, but not shaming myself either.
No.
So it was a lot of women and little eating, little sleeping, and taking advantage of it. Like I took advantage of the situation so that was my excuse not to work. I worked, but it was half-ass work, and everyone understood why.
Sure.
And it was just a big blur.
You went on a roadmap of just wanting to do things for you.
Very selfish, yeah. I mean, I didn't leave the kids, so
No, but it wasn't like you wanted to hurt anyone, but it was like it was almost like it was needed. It was like therapeutic. Like it wasn't because you weren't looking for a title or you weren't looking to achieve anything, but you needed to. You just needed that. There was a processing. It was one way to process it.
Yeah.
And you can look back and say, well, there's other ways to process it. You should have went to church. Whatever. It was what it was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so until someone is in your shoes, then no one can know how they would process it, right? You don't even fucking know how you're going to process. How the fuck are you supposed to process this?
No, you don't know.
Like, where's the fucking blueprint?
There isn't one.
So you end up doing that. And then, so what happened after 2 years?
I was at work.
Yeah.
And I stood up, and I realized a thought came thundering down to me, and it was straight from the voice.
Mm-hmm.
And it said, "Quit pretending you're not hurt." Those were the words. Quit pretending you're not hurt. And I fell on my knees in my office and prayed and cried.
Out of nowhere.
Screamed out of fucking nowhere. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, that voice.
Wow.
Yeah, that moment.
On your knees, crying in the middle of the fucking office, not giving a fuck about anything else.
Fuck no, I was just...
Quit pretending that you're not hurting.
Pretending. Yeah.
You know, Garrett heard a similar voice when, I don't know if you heard the story, and so it's 2009 and life is just shitty for him, right? His marriage is down and like his business there's no fucking business, there's nothing. And yet he's on the treadmill and running and running and running, and the voice comes to him and says, "When will you actually hear me? Haven't you had enough?" And he stops, right? Kind of like you, and gets off the treadmill and that's where like the direction of his life changed. He decided to tell the truth, and ever since that, you know, created this movement, and like everybody's, you know, following the path. So it sounded to me that's 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
10 years ago, the voice brought you on your knees.
Slammed me down. Yeah.
And so talk to me what happened in this decade from that point on.
So I radically changed. I went to the house. I whitewashed every wall. I took every piece of furniture I had, put it on the front porch. I mean, it was just a radical change. It needed to be done. And then I slowly, so there was like about a 2 to 3 month period of absolute deconstruction. Everything that was me had to be deconstructed.
Mm-hmm.
Everything had to go. I mean, the kids were terrified. They didn't know what the fuck was going on. I stayed, but I had to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then I slowly started to rebuild. And I can't tell you how important it was to deconstruct everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that voice, when it said, "Stop pretending you're not hurt," that was 3 months of just pure on my knees, prayer every night, pain, cleaning. It was manic, but it was cleaning. It was just cleaning out. I had to clean the house, but it was really my body and my heart that I was cleaning.
Deconstructing the stories.
Yeah.
What was the biggest story that you were holding on to?
That she was, I had made her a hero. I martyred her, and I had to accept that she had hurt me. She had hurt the children, and I had to accept it's what we do in the stack. I had to release the rage. I was mad at her.
Mm-hmm.
I had to process that and stop fucking pretending that I wasn't mad at her.
Mm-hmm.
That did not fucking work.
No. And I mean, you're talking about like releasing the rage on a wife that has passed away. So like most people have difficulty releasing the rage on their wife. Now imagine if that person doesn't live anymore. So like it required a tremendous amount of courage to go through that, because by releasing the rage and just letting the feeling flow, you're able to find more clarity on the other side. That is not necessarily the pointing fingers at her and blaming, and that's done. You let the feelings out, and then you say, okay, let me look around and see what are the possibilities, and what is the fucking story that I'm telling myself when I believe these feelings to be true, when I believe the feelings of anger and blame and like name it, when I believe these feelings to be true, what is the story that I'm adopting, that I'm telling myself? And do I really want that story? And obviously the answer as you go through this and evaluate this is like, no, I don't want that. I don't want the fucking story that my anger and my blame provides me around the facts. I want a story that actually serves me. So you start looking into the different version of the stories that can serve you, and you choose the one that gives you power. And inside of this whole process, you see what you learn and what is the lesson that you applied that inside of your life based on this whole experience of asking yourself these questions. Now, what I'm describing to you guys is a process we call the stack. And this is done inside of The Warrior. The book, The Stack, is coming out soon. And as well as the detail of the stack, it's inside of the Warrior book. You'll find the book at warriorbook.com if you're interested to read the book. But inside of that, the stack process, it's something that allows you to have a dialogue in a deeper way with yourself. So most people ask me like, okay, Coach Sam, what is fucking, you talk about soul purpose. What is soul? Like, dude, your soul is nothing but a conversation at the deepest level with yourself. That's what the fucking soul is. Ultimately, the soul comes down to being, who am I and who do I want to become? In the midst of all that, if you don't have the deepest conversation with yourself, then there is no fucking soul. Soul, because it's a concept unknown to you. Because you haven't opened the gates to have the deepest conversation with yourself. And the example of that is you, Jason, that you've opened the gates to have the deepest conversation with yourself around a subject that has almost paralyzed you for fucking 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, life goes on. You got remarried?
Mm-hmm.
How many years back? Talk to me about that.
So I met Jenny. So at the end of that cleansing process.
Yep.
That's when I met her. So it was two to 3 years after.
So about 7 years ago.
Yeah. And then we dated for a few years, took it slow, healthy, did it right. And then we got married, I think 6 years ago or 5 years ago.
And so you have 3 kids. Does she had any kids?
No, she hadn't. So she's taken on the 3 kids.
She's taken on. So how old was Jenny when you guys met?
So if we've known each other 10 years now, 18, 28, she's 8 years younger than me. So she was 30.
Okay, beautiful. So at 30
She's
year
40
old.
now,
Okay,
yeah.
so at 30. I want you to visualize. 30 is pretty fucking young, right?
Yeah.
At 30, you met a woman. Listen to this. At 30, she's 30. You met a woman that was able to accept a man that has lost his wife. So complete fucking mess to some extent, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
from the
complete.
outside, she didn't know about the cleansing. And 3 kids. She's 30, bro. She's right in her prime age, right there.
Mm-hmm.
She meets you, and then she accepts you and your totality, which is everything that you carry from pain to desire, but mainly fucking pain because of your ex-wife's death.
Mm-hmm.
She accepts it. Whether you want it or not, you're going to fucking project it on her anyway. It's part of you.
Mm.
You're going to mirror that shit on her. She absorbs it. She also accepts 3 children's that are not hers, that she has to build relationship, but yet that she knows that ultimately they have lost their mom, right? And so there's always going to be this reference to mom.
Yes.
It's heavy fucking duty.
Mm-hmm.
So either Jenny was on fucking crack or she must have been really God sent, bro, to come into your life. Do you understand these words?
I understand them 100%.
So talk to me about Jenny and like how did she came into your life and what a blessing that was in your life. What did that do to your life and where you are today?
We came together by the voice, without a doubt.
No fucking shit.
Yeah. And she'll say the same thing. She was she'd been through a few bad relationships and she decided to get her shit together. And so she didn't date for 4 years. And then like a month before she met me, she heard the voice. She said, "It's time. He's there." And I was deconstructing at that time, and I could never have heard the voice if I hadn't deconstructed like I did, and finally felt the pain. Like I wouldn't have her if I hadn't gone into the darkness with the pain.
Because you were completely deaf to hearing anything.
Yeah.
Like blindfolded in a box.
Yeah.
You've created a fucking pit for yourself, and that's where you were.
Mm-hmm. And so she came into my life, and we knew really quickly. But it was, there was a lot of times she said, "Hey, I'm not your dead wife." Just like you said, the projection.
Yeah.
I mean, I was terrified. I would expect her to do the same things, and I would project that onto her all the time. And it took us a while because that was so difficult for me because I was constantly terrified she would do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally realized that probably took me 10 years. I mean, it's recently in the last couple of years I realized that she's not going away. Like she was sent by the voice.
Dude,
I mean,
you are in a place where not too many men are, which is this place that something was taken away from you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is no explanation behind it. You can't put any logic behind it. And above all, and most importantly, it's not really fucking up to you to come up with any logic or anything else, right? So it's a complete fucking game of surrender.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else won't work because there's some kind of resistance that will show up. If you don't surrender to this, then your mind will continuously run and you'll go fucking crazy. You'll come up with stories. You'll come up with stories to satisfy yourself to say, well, it's because of that, or it's because of this, or it's because of this happened. So it's either blame or shame or anger.
Mm-hmm. And you know the end of the story, right? From Warrior Week 43 assist.
No, you tell the story to the audience.
Yeah, that's so it took Warrior to finally crack that final piece.
So we're going to come back to that final piece.
Yeah.
As we continue through the story and the reason why you even came to Warrior. But prior to that, we are now in the midst of this you and Jenny, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's truly a blessing from the sky.
Yes.
Like, dude, let's be realistic.
Yeah.
What fucking 30-year-old would actually date a guy with that heavy package?
And she wasn't trying to save me.
She wasn't on crack.
Nope.
So it must have been God sent because anything in between just doesn't work. You know this.
Yeah.
And so God sent comes in, a gift in your life, and she has the balls to actually tell you, I'm not your fucking dead wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's very clear in what she wants with the most respectful way, telling you the truth.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know Jenny that much, but I know her through you, your experience here at Warrior Week 38, and as well as 43.
39.
39 and as well as 43. So I know her through that experience, and by discussing right now and just feeling this, I think she simply brought the truth into your life.
Yes, she did, and continues to do so.
And so she didn't bring the most pleasant truth. She just simply brought the truth, which liberated you from the stories that have kept you captive for so many years. Because now living by the code, which is this concept of being the truth, is something that was always present, at least in the past 7 years in your life. And now you get to be aware and recognize it every single day through the gift, Jenny, in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And your kids get to see that too.
They do.
Because I can guarantee you, if she wasn't truthful, they wouldn't connect with her. The kids are pure, right?
Yeah.
So the kids know what the fuck they're doing. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. Because we get diluted and we become unpure. Yeah. Our story is really good to take away our purity as we grow up. But the kids are pure. And if she wasn't coming from a place of truth, they wouldn't connect with her.
Nope.
It would have been a game of pretending.
You know, Coach, the fact that she got sent to me is a blessing. It's the voice, you know that. But she also got sent to them, and they recognize that, just like I do.
Guaranteed she was fucking sent. I mean, you can sit here and you can believe that this is a fucking coincidence. And that's exactly how the power of the story can be robbed from you if you actually think this was a fucking coincidence. Coincidence is the biggest robber of power for people. Every time something happens that there is power in it, most people will say that's a coincidence. Coincidence is a fucking man-made story. It's a man-made story to rob away the power that you're feeling. It's a man-made story to fuck you when you're listening to the voice. It's a man-made story to say fuck you to the voice and listen to a man. That's what the word coincidence is. The word coincidence is the most malicious fucking word in any fucking vocabulary. Persian, Farsi, English, French, Portuguese, fucking Russian, Chinese. The word coincidence is the international robber of power. Because every time you see something powerful, what would most people say? Oh, it's a coincidence. And immediately dismiss the power of what they just witnessed. We are fucking witnessing miracles every fucking day right in front of our fucking eyes. The fact that we're fucking breathing right now is a fucking miracle. We're not aware of it. Every goddamn fucking day we are recognizing miracles in front of our eyes. And yet we use the word coincidence and dismiss the power in those miracles. So there was no fucking coincidence that Jenny showed up in your life. Absolutely. That doesn't fucking exist. You don't have to be a man of God or a man of faith. You just have to be a man that is connected to his heart and recognizes that coincidence is a man-made fucking word. Men have controlled other men for centuries by using the word coincidence. There are no fucking coincidences. There is no mathematic formula that defines the arriving of Jenny in Jason's life. It's not a fucking scientific tale. And your own goddamn philosophy will lead you to coincidence. So don't even bother bringing in your own fucking philosophy. There's only one way. There's one school of thinking that can only back this up. And that's backed up by faith. And it doesn't matter what religion you come from, who you believe in. But if you believe in God, if you believe in the voice, if you truly believe in that, then you can back it by faith and you say, it was fate. The voice brought her to you, Jason.
Yes, it did.
And that gave you power immediately. The time that you recognize.
Yeah. Everyone knows it. I want to say this. When the miracles happen, they know it. The lie is the second piece, that it's a coincidence. You know it. You open, you go, oh my gosh, like it's oh my God. The words oh my God are written in your DNA. You go, oh my God. Oh, that's a coincidence. It follows. You know at first in your heart.
It's a feeling.
Yeah.
It's a feeling, and you 100% own it. And then immediately comes in the lie and the story, which is that's a coincidence. It washes away that feeling, takes you away from this high and just bring you down to the fucking shithole where they want you to be, whoever the fucking created the word coincidence. All I know, it's a man-made fucking word. And it's a fucking powerful word, man, because it cuts through the most powerful fucking stories. So if you want to do yourself a fucking favor, eliminate the word fucking coincidence in your vocabulary. Eliminate it in your children's vocabulary. Never, ever, ever, ever again use the word coincidence. Like, make a commitment on this call. If you're watching this podcast, and if you're still listening to this, and you're like, okay, these guys are fucking yelling, I don't know what the fuck these guys are talking about, I'm out, that's fine. That is probably a coincidence. But if you're still here, it's not a fucking coincidence that you're listening to this voice right now, coming in through Jason, through his story. And it's telling you that there are no fucking coincidences. And it's asking you to make the commitment and not to use the word coincidence anymore. And not to give away your power to those that have created it. But rather give your power and receive your power to your creator. So eliminate the word coincidence in your vocabulary. Eliminate it in your children's vocabulary. And begin the awareness of appreciation of every single miracle that is happening in front of you.
And it will happen right now. It will happen this evening. It will happen this night. It will happen next morning. It will happen 50 times before lunch. If you let it.
Keyword, if you let it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And often it's not that we don't want it. We want it. But why we don't let it? We want it, but we don't let it. Because as if there's this control mechanism on us that comes in and immediately dismisses by saying, okay, it's a coincidence. I mean, what the fuck? What are you gaining by saying it's a coincidence? Let's fucking analyze this right now. Like, something happens, right? I'm sorry, that's a coincidence. What the fuck are you gaining by saying that's a coincidence? Let's go back to something happens. It's exciting. You gain power towards. A miracle happens right in front of your eyes. You're like, wow. You can gain something from that. We're clear on that, right? You say, oh, that's a coincidence. What are you gaining from saying that's a coincidence?
It's a habit of denial. It's a habit of self-denial. It's self-worth issues. We've sedated so long that we see ourselves as pieces of shit. And so we deny the miracles. In my experience, what I've done, I deny them because I don't feel I'm fucking worthy. And they're free, and I deny them. I insult the voice. I look it straight in the face, and I go, that was a coincidence.
Because we are pieces of shit. At least that's how we feel.
Yeah.
And if we would simply stop feeling like a piece of shit and feel that we're worth it, maybe, just maybe, we'd be open enough to receive the fucking miracle that is happening right in front of us. The gift that comes from witnessing. We immediately kill the witness by saying it's a coincidence. Coincidence is the gun that you put in your head when you're witnessing a miracle.
Yes. Yeah.
Right there, killed yourself before even witnessing the goddamn fucking gift. So, Jenny, not a fucking coincidence.
Not.
For you, for the kids, for your life. In the midst of all this, something is not working for you, right? So that's why you knocked at the door at Come at Warrior Week. What is it inside of you that says you have to come to Warrior Week? Like, what were you looking for?
I remember our interview, and it was so short. Everybody else gets the hour-and-a-half interview. I think mine was 10 minutes because it was just like the voice told me to go. And I didn't know. I didn't know what the fuck it wanted from me. I thought I had this naive idea that it was business, but that got flushed really quick. And then I came up with this idea, trying to figure it out, that it was so I could survive. That I could do a hard thing and survive, that I would build myself up by doing a hard thing. So I looked at Warrior Week through the lens of this is just going to be hard and I'm going to get through it.
You're gonna get forged.
Yeah. But it wasn't that. It was being built. Yeah, okay. I thought I was just going to survive. I was just going to shut it aside and walk out the same me. But you were right. Use the right fucking word. I was forged. So I was put into the fire and the old me was burned away. So I didn't come up the same sword going, hey, I can take the heat. I came up forged. And I didn't understand that until after. I understood that you were building leaders, revealing them, forging them.
Yeah, there was a particular evolution, without getting into too much details, as the final evolution of Warrior Week, and it's called The Man in the Mirror. And I particularly remember seeing the image of you in the mirror, and like you saw yourself as a leader. And it's not that you changed to a leader. It's not that you transformed and you became a leader during the Warrior Week. You simply find yourself.
Yeah.
People don't come fucking to Warrior Week for change or transformation. Fuck that. If you want change and transformation, go somewhere else. Because change is temporary and transformation is just changing from one form to another one. But it's still the same fucking material. You take a material, you put a round shape around it, you play around with that material, and you make a square out of it. It's still the same shit. But yet people call it transformation. Change is temporary. Change is not going to fucking last. Change is constant. So if you're looking for change and transformation, Warrior Week is not the place to come. But if you're looking to find yourself, the man that you've always been, but that you've locked down inside of a fucking cave because of goddamn stories of maybe not feeling worthy, or whatever else, the stories that you carry, pain, not wanting to see that guy because he caused you pain or whatever. The man, yourself, the man that you've locked out in your basement for years, that is the guy that you'll find at Warrior Week, and you found that guy.
Yes.
So you find that guy, and off you go, and life changes. You take the next step, which is becoming certified trainer inside of this game to continue to lead and live this way, not only to teach it, but also to be able to live it at the highest level for yourself, to be in integrity so you can actually leave it collide with what you need to collide in order to support others to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
Then you come back at week 43 to kind of learn the process of the game as a certified trainer, and you go through one particular evolution and everything, all the pieces of the puzzle comes to you. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, I follow in the voice in every way, and it's just starting to lead to this revelations of miracles that we're talking about, just miracle after miracle, and I'm stopping pushing them away, but I'm not, because there's still still walls, and this is where it works on so many different levels. And it was you who said, "Hey, there's something going on. Get the fuck out until you figure it out."
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I said, I fucking remember that. I don't know, 6 months ago, 4 months ago, whenever it was. I took you aside. I said, your fucking energy is off. You're fucking up the group. Either get the fuck out of here or get back into it with your energy. I remember that. It was like...
And that was it. So I went down the hill. Coach Jesse sent me down the hill with a brother, and we just started to talk, and I said, okay, I don't know what's wrong. And Coach Jesse looked at me and he goes, I know you don't. That's why I'm sending you down. Just go figure it out. And I went, okay. I went down, and I ended up on the ground, screaming, on my knees, and the voice came again, and it put the whole thing together. So I had stopped feeling for those 2 years. I'd sedated.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started to feel the anger, and I let that anger out, and I changed my life, but it wasn't complete.
Mm-hmm.
So 8 years I was still pretending from this experience with my dead wife. And then there it was. The voice came on the hill. There's one more step. Forgiveness. And it wasn't just for me, because I had to forgive her for my kids as well, so they could see that. And if you hadn't kicked me off the hill, I would have just kept pretending I was okay.
That was a missing piece.
Yeah.
So for 2 years, you sedated.
Mm-hmm.
For 8 years, you pretended.
Mm-hmm.
You released the anger, but you still kind of pretended.
Kind of pretended.
And you never closed the door, which was simply forgiveness. What was the gift that you received in exchange for that forgiveness? What is that gift in your life right now? Like, what happened to Jason after that? Dude, here's what happened. Your eyes kind of grew a little bit, at least half a centimeter bigger. Before that, you kind of look Oriental. It's a white dude, blue eyes, but with Chinese eyes, kind of fucking fucked up. So your eyes grew bigger. Your skin is glowing. You had a brownish, dark skin, kind of like, Indian people. So you like Chinese people and Indian revealing in you. Yet there's this white dude with blue eyes. So your skin is glowing now, and it's clear. Your facial hair doesn't look like a guy that you live in a fucking box. Your hair looks nice. Life is flowing through you now. I can feel it. I can feel vitality. Before, head down, shoulder down, put the sunglasses on, and still in the element of a POW, a prisoner of fucking war. Back in the days in the fucking, Vietnam camp. Just completely shut down. So, talk to me about the gift that is transcending now through you, to your family, to your kids. And as a result of it, the biggest fucking result of it is your son. Your son was able to receive that fucking energy for the first time, and himself making a huge fucking decision to come to Warrior Week at age of 21, putting the finances behind it and doing at 21, are you fucking kidding me? Dude, the dude doesn't have the money. The dude but the dude has the commitment to come, and has put everything together, and he's fucking coming. So that makes you obviously proud as a dad. But I want you to roll back and see this gift that you brought with you for you and your family and your kids. That was the gift of forgiveness. What that is shining through you and your family.
And it's energetic, so they all felt it when it happened. My daughter and my 2 sons, and Jenny, she felt it too. And then I started to reach out to them, and they were feeling it, like, what's going on down there? What's going on? Something's lifting. Something's lifting. A burden has been lifted. And then we've come back, and each of us have gone in pairs, me with my kids, to their mother's grave. And we've laid a rose on her grave in honor. And it's set us all free. Now, I think they have their own work to do.
Sure.
Yeah. But I was holding them back.
You were, of course.
Yeah.
But without knowing,
No.
who the fuck has a manual to what to do with this? Are you fucking kidding me? 2 years, 8 years, 10 years, doesn't fucking matter. Who the fuck has a manual how to deal with this? And it wasn't a coincidence that you were sent out.
Oh no, that's
you were there as somebody that was supposed to hold the frame and the energy for the men that were inside of Warrior, that were going to, like, we had 12, 13 guys, like, that their life was at stake, right? They were going to transform their lives, not to just fucking transform, but to actually find themselves. Like, the transformation was to actually give themselves permission to find themselves, not to change who they were, but to give access to the primal person and primal man that has been in them operating, but sedated for whatever reason, for whatever fucking story. And yet you're there with the energy that's fucking low, like it's dead energy. It's like dead people. And so at that point, it's unacceptable to have a guy like that, right? So that two ways to deal with this. One, I see that, I don't get triggered, or I get triggered and I don't say anything. That's not really me. So it wasn't me. It was really the voice through me that says, hey, listen, you're fucking up the energy of the group. Get the fuck down the hill. And then Jesse stops you and says, hey, you need to go and you need to figure out what the fuck is wrong with you. And you're like, Coach, there's nothing wrong. He's like, that's exactly. Go figure this shit out. So it was through me and then revalidated through Jesse. We're in a special. We don't have special gift. None of that shit. We're just fucking vessels and instrument. The voice whispered through me. The voice actually knocked at the door through Jesse. You went down to the hill. Down to the hill. The voice beat you up with a baseball bat. You continue coming up. And right in the middle, another massive pattern interruption in your life. Last time this happened was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
The nuclear bomb went again this time. But only this time, it brought life into you.
It did.
It didn't suck it up. And so what a beautiful experience. And it was energetic because everybody else felt it at the same time. Because when the nuclear bomb is pushed, everybody fucking feels it.
Yeah.
How does Jenny feel now with this new version of you?
She loves it. She's stepped up, and actually it's given her permission to collide with me more.
Good.
You know, like she has her truth, and now she knows. Like she knows that she can speak it even louder now because she has a king at home who's rising. And so our trust, so there's more collision, but there's more trust.
Yeah. So much worth it. Most relationship, there are so many unspoken feelings. Unspoken feelings, unspoken thoughts, and they just gather dust on the shelf. They stack up until the fucking shelf collapses and everything else around it. And it's good to be in a place where there's no dust. You're cleaning every fucking day the fucking shelf. There's no dust. And yeah, it gets dusty when you clean up. It requires some work. But at least you don't fucking collect dust on your shelves. Because the dust that you collect on your shelf, eventually you won't even fucking see your wife. Like, it's too fucking dusty.
Yeah.
Who's that person just 3 feet away from me? I don't even know the person that I lived with for past 30 years that is 3 feet away from me because this bitch is always on fucking Instagram. And on the other side, I am always on my fucking phone responding to my group of guys or responding to my emails or responding like just some fucking thing. Or I'm at my soccer games. Or am I at my baseball games? Or am I not fucking there because I'm fucking drinking? Or I'm going to watch a movie every fucking night. Or I play video game. Or I'm going to run fucking 6 miles at night when it's dark. Or I'm going to go fucking swim. You name it. That's called dust. When the person next to you 3 feet away, you don't know that person after living 30 years from them, you don't know the way to think now, you're pretty much fucked. You allow the dust to accumulate. But it's dust. It goes away. It's dust. It's not permanent paint. It's dust. All it requires you for you is to clean up. And it goes away. And that's what you did. 10 years. 10 to 12 years of collecting fucking dust.
And that's what I want to say, is that there was a moment when I put up my wall of coincidence, and I stopped and said, why did it take so long? I looked at God and I said, why did it take so long? And I just felt that presence with me, and I realized that was just the stupidest question. Fuck that. That was my way of saying coincidence. That was my way of deflecting it again. So I shut my fucking mouth. And I don't ask that question.
Surrender.
I surrendered.
Your gift came through surrendering. Your gift came through surrendering to forgive and receive whatever comes at you. And you did receive this vitality that you live, this energy that you bring home, and the fact that your son felt that. And your son is like, Dad, this is what I want. Like, I want the same power that I see in you. I want the same light that you're shining upon all of us. Like, I want that at 21. I don't want to wait fucking, how old are you right now?
48.
Yeah, I don't want to be I don't want to be an old penis like you, fucking 48-year-old. I'm a young penis. I'm 21. And I want to feel that love, energy, and light now. And that's that. Like, at the end of all this shit, everything, including your wife passing away, it's all fucking worth it for your son to feel this. Because he's going to lead the next generation.
This is the revolution. This is what we're doing.
This is the revolution. Your 12 years of fucking pain, everything that took place for you was for this fucking moment for you to come home, not to tell your son to follow his path, but to simply live this way and for him to be attracted to this power that you projected and say, Dad, I want to be like you.
And you know, he heard the voice, and he called you.
Yes.
I didn't tell him to do anything.
But he heard the voice by seeing you.
Yeah. I didn't tell him to do it, though.
Had you not be there,
then it wouldn't have.
Warrior wouldn't make any fucking sense with him. Him being here wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
He'd witness the rise of the phoenix from the fucking ashes. And he wants to be a phoenix. That's what he wants.
Yes, he does.
It's fucking crystal clear. And the biggest gift that was given is simply living this way. So he's one of many. You lead, coach, men and women, where you guys are inside of this program, a certified trainer as well, and you do that with your wife, and you're more than qualified to lead because you're so willing to fucking lead. You're so willing to lead, and you let your son. Most people lead other people before even leading their family. You led your son, man, and you continue to do that. That's why you're qualified to fucking lead. Not because you're special, because you're willing to fucking lead every single day. So leadership was what you came knocking at the door for. I don't know, like 6-7 months ago, 6 months ago when you filled out that application, you saw the boxing and you stopped. That's where your journey started. And all the pieces of it came together the way that it needed for you to be here when the time was right. Because the time was designed for you to become the shepherd so you can actually guide your son here. Maybe 6-7 months ago, you would have come in, he wouldn't be here. And you would have been the only God that got the gift. So at the end of the day, the gift that you got in those mountains was never yours to keep. It was yours to give away.
It was.
And well done.
Thank
well
you.
fucking done. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us on this emotional episode. One of the most emotional episode I've taken place so far. Not because we told a story, because this is just based on fucking facts. Like, I didn't fucking fabricate Jason and brought him here. This is what a man lived. And in his sharing of the pain and his joy, the pain was divided and joy was multiplied in this call. There are lessons that you can extract. And if there is anything that you extracted, any lesson that is applicable to you, I urge you to forward this podcast or share this podcast with another man that you feel that could benefit from this. Like, pay it forward, man. If you got a gift from this conversation, don't fucking keep it for yourself. Give it to someone else. They can go to the iTunes and search for Warrior Week podcast, or on Google Play, do the same, or simply go to warriorweeknow.com. Listen to the audios, listen to the videos, listen to the scripts, listen to the picture, see the pictures, and listen to additional audios and videos that we will put there for you. Jason, thank you for being on the call with me. It was fucking awesome, man.
Thank you, Coach.
I think your gift is solidified right here, right now. You're gonna leave tonight with a package that is like unfucking shakeable.
Amen.
Gentlemen, we will see you on the next episode of Warrior Week Parables from the Pit.